Welcome to the College of Wealth podcast, the ultimate financial guide to help you understand your financial stresses and how you can build from it. Your lessons won't be in class, and your projects can either save you or earn you money. We host episodes 2 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to help you reach your financial freedom. Now let's get started with your hosts, Owen, Paradis, and William Goulet.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Everyone. My name is Owen Paradis. I am here with my co-host, William Goulet. We're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast.
Podcast.
Yes, this is the College of Wealth podcast. It's a financial podcast that teaches you the latest and greatest information about money. Because at the end of the day, this is a crazy money-making world.
Whether someone decides to partake in the money-making part or not, one thing is guaranteed, and it is the crazy aspect of the crazy money-making world.
Yes, it is true. And because it is money-making, we like to go and indicate that because it's a financial podcast, we like to give a disclaimer that this is for entertainment purposes only.
So,
and it's only
yes,
meant
to the entertainment purposes. And it's good that we give this disclaimer because at the end of the day, we want people to consider multiple sources, different types of information.
Yeah.
But I think that saying for entertainment purposes only actually discredits the value of the information that we provide because a lot of research goes into this. I've said it
That's
once,
true, yeah.
I've said it thrice, and I'll say it again. You've written enough notes to make a book out of it. So I say let's consider the quality of the information that we provide on top of the entertainment portion. I'm thinking a silly, goofy word. I don't know, something like infotainment.
I like it. I like that quite a bit,
bad,
honestly.
Eh? Yeah.
I do like that because, at the College of Wealth podcast, we do like to go and call this infotainment here. We do like to inform all of our listeners. And because of that, we also like to go and say that both Will nor myself are not financial advisors.
Not me anyways.
Well, me either by any means here. But at least we study business, and we do work finances or in the business industry. We both have our bachelor's degrees in business as well.
That's all to say, Owen, that our interest is, as Gen Z says, valid. So, right on.
It is true. And we also have 2 other reasons why we like to make this podcast. And why is that, Will?
Well, I'd like to go into it. I won't ask to do it together. Whether it's saving money, because there's lots of ways that you can save money. There's saving money in the sense of putting money aside, or saving money as in spending less than what you're going to.
Yeah.
So those are 2 ways just for saving money alone. Sometimes we like to make money, and we prefer to make money because saving, you can only save so much, but earning, unlimited potential.
It's true. It is true. And I think I think that's an awesome way to finish off the intro of this episode here, because we're going to be jumping into episode 119.
Yeah, that's our intro. And maybe something I wanted to mention, Owen, is Labor Day. It was Labor Day this Monday, and there wasn't an episode on Tuesday. But we're back for this Thursday, and we're back to our regular programming going forward. So
yes, exactly that. There, we just wanted to give a heads up to everyone here. Thank you, Will, for that cleanup that we had. But I hope that everyone enjoyed their Labor Day. Obviously,
yeah,
that's that I know I definitely did here. But now that we're back to the grind, we're back to the Monday to Friday for everyone. We said episode 119 is going to be about something trending right now, and that's the silent resignation.
Yes. The very hot topic.
Yes. And I had to cover this one. You're the one who suggested it, and I was like, you know what? This would be really, really good to cover.
Well, we're seeing everyone talk about it, but whether it be, Mike Rowe actually is a guy that I caught talking about it, and he's a pretty sharp cookie. He encourages work, all the time from dirty jobs.
Yeah. You know what? And that's exactly what I was saying, like a bit of a preemptive before this episode, where to you just not sure what to do, like what side you fall on when it comes to something like this. And today's episode, the way I have it structured is what exactly is the silent resignation, or quiet quitting. Some people call it quiet quitting as well.
Right.
Why people are doing it, the risks of quiet quitting, but there's also the benefits involved with quiet quitting. And are you about to quiet quit, or is it feasible for you?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So we're going to be covering
for you.
Yeah, because to some people it is.
Right. And it makes sense for them.
But of course, we can't go on without talking about the statistics.
Oh, Statman, of course.
Of course. So our first statistic is actually by Deloitte.
Okay.
And I'd like for you, Will, to guess the percentage of millennials who say they've experienced burnout.
Oh, I bet you mind you, millennials are, working adults all the way up to 40 nowadays. So I bet you a lot of them probably have. I'm going to say, but then again, I'm guessing a bunch overestimate their burnout, but I'm going to say something like 70%.
Try 84%.
Wow, I thought I was going high. I really thought I was going high with 70.
Now you gotta bump those numbers up.
Yeah, those are rookie numbers, man. 84% of millennials. Wow.
84%. And for anyone who doesn't really know exactly what burnout is, basically it's not having the energy to do your job anymore and just depleting yourself of all the energy that you have. And depending on how severe it gets, it could literally stop you from doing normal day tasks as well.
Yeah, and this here are we talking specifically about being overworked to the point to where you're at that point?
Yes.
Okay. Which, I don't know about you, but to me sounds like something that it would take a lot for, you need to have put in so many hours and be asked so much out of you.
You gotta be putting in quite a bit of hours there to do something like that.
Yeah, and it's a very real thing, and a lot of people do go through burnouts.
Oh, yes.
But 84%, that seems a bit high to me.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. And again, like you said, it all gauges on the severity of the burnout itself. Some of them are drastic. Some of them are still... It all depends. But it moves on to our second stat, and it's... this one is pretty interesting. But I'm going to say it flat out. 625 million people suffer from depression around the world. Or actually, 625, I've said they have dealt with depression. That in turn means less productivity. And they estimate how much per year is lost on due to basically depression.
Man, 625, that's like 10%. That's 10% of the world. Wow. Okay, and how much money is lost due to that? The estimation?
Yeah.
In the world or United States, we thinking?
The world.
Let's go for around 500 billion.
Double that.
1 trillion?
It's an estimated $1 trillion a year is lost due to depression. Now, I wouldn't go and monetize depression or anything like that, but it just shows you the effects on how important it is to look at your mental health.
Yeah, you're right. And that's one thing that I think millennials and Gen Z have been really good at doing is bring more attention to mental health, whereas that wasn't the case before. So
yes.
Props. I do, however, have some concerns at the same time that it could be getting overpropped. Like 84% burnout seems extremely high to me, Well,
we'll talk a little bit further about this on the episode. But in this case scenario, of course, we're going to be talking about workplace stress as our third stat. Okay, and that is a reality. And actually, I was just dealing with that today in general with my current job. Postponing nonstop our recording because of workplace stress and what's going on. But that's okay. But in this case, we're talking about the U.S. economy and how much is lost in the U.S. economy every year. due to workplace stress. So we were talking about depression before worldwide. Now we're going to talk about workplace stress in the United States.
I'd say 90, just guessing here, 95 to 99% of people have gone through workplace. No, yeah, 99.
Yeah, but how much money is lost a year due to workplace stress?
Oh my.
So this information is a little bit outdated,
Sure.
and I bet you it's gotten higher, but it's very, very informative. I gotten these sources I actually literally got from a report called Stress in America, Paying with Our Health, and it was released February 4th, 2015.
Okay, I'm gonna say a number, but I'll explain why, because it might shock you.
Okay.
I think it's in the negatives. Because I think.
So you're saying companies are making money for people's stress
to their employees, because how many people get motivated by that, and how many of those are the top performers within the company?
All right, I understand your idea, but it's not right.
Okay, all right. Tell me.
$500 billion a year.
Ooh. That was my guess for the worldwide burnout rate.
Yeah. But that is $500 billion a year due to workplace stress. Now, depression and workplace stress are two different things, so two different classifications. But there was a stat that I didn't really like. I don't want to define it because it just didn't make sense.
Okay.
But they said an estimated 550 million days of lost work due to workplace stress a year.
I see. So workplace stress is stress to the point where you're sort of frozen and you don't move forward with your work, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. But no stress would also not be a good idea.
But it moves us to our last stat, which
Yep.
I think is very, very, very interesting. How likely are burned out employees going to take a sick day?
Oh, I think that's probably the most likely.
So what percentage? How much more likely are they to take a sick day?
1,000% more likely than their peers who don't have.
63% more likely.
Really?
Yes.
I would really think that, like, if I were to ever have a super stressed day and like my head isn't in the right place, I'd say, okay, I maybe I'll consider taking that or a personal day or something like that.
For sure.
But
But
my go-to.
But not every job has stress leave, or not every job has a personal day either.
Right. But I would guess that a sick day would. Well, that's why I'm thinking that a sick day would be more likely to be used. Anyways,
True.
I'm surprised. I thought it would have been more.
They are also 2.6 times more likely to be looking for another job, according to Gallup, as well.
Wow.
So it just shows you how strong it is to balance mental health in general.
Yeah, well, and how important it is for the employers to address it with your employees as well.
Yes, exactly. Now that we covered our statistics, we got to go and talk about the definition of the silent resignation or quiet quitting. What exactly is quiet quitting or resignation?
Let's get it on the table.
For people who don't know, it's actually not necessarily quitting a job itself.
Right.
You're not quitting the job, but basically what the employee is doing is limiting their tasks to exactly what they need to do. They're not going to do anything more. They're not going to do anything less. So that's on the flip side, but they're going to be doing exactly as they are told to do on paper.
Yeah. And legally, and it's 100% legal to do exactly what it is, because that's the contract that you signed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
they also don't really, those people really don't, or the people who are interested in something like this aren't trying to go for the work is life culture, and their goal is to just do the bare minimum. And because of that, they just want to solely look at their own lifestyle and not make work their priority.
Yeah, and I think that's the number one thing we hear from people who do quiet quitting. It's, I want to focus on my work-life balance. I want to make sure to be able to have a social life, focus on this, focus on that.
Yep.
And actually, I'd like to bring in the quote of the day.
Oh.
Which we've discussed the person that... Actually, this here's the quote of the day, not the week, because we took my Tuesday,
Oh, yes, yeah.
Tuesday's episode. We talked about her last week, that we both enjoyed her content. She has been on daytime TV for a very long time, and she plays a legal character. Reality TV.
Are you going to say Ellen?
Judge Judy.
Oh.
So today we're quoting... Go ahead.
I was like, oh, please don't do a quote from Ellen. Ellen already has enough crap to deal with here. Or people
Then
dealt a
Will
lot of
quoting
crap
her.
with.
No, we're quoting Judge Judy today. And
Okay.
she says, and I won't try to do her voice, she says, "Don't try to teach a pig to sing. It doesn't work and it annoys the pig." Which goes extremely well with the quiet quitting, right? These people who are trying to limit their work-life balance, don't try to tell them, go above and beyond, excel in your job, you'll get more promotions. They have no interest in doing that. They just want to do their work, go home, and be left alone for their time that they're at home.
Yep. And the workers aren't pigs, by the way.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No. That'd be like a reverse Animal Farm.
But it's true, though, in that sense. And it's actually the one trait that I have highlighted on this first segment is the hustle culture. That was huge in the 2010s.
True.
I think that is the biggest part. The internet came about, was really dominant in the 2010s. This is really when companies were starting to hop on to LinkedIn, were starting to advertise more, and then YouTube became predominant. It's the first era, the first decade that YouTube was its entirety in there.
Global phenomenon.
Yeah, and people, well, you got to work hard, you got to play hard, you got to go and do this to go and get those promotions, make that money, and live that life that you want. And that the hustle culture was the thing to do. And
True.
now it's almost, since COVID happened, it's almost frowned upon.
Yeah, well, ever since COVID, it's made it so much easier for people to quiet quit as well.
Yes.
But you're right. I think COVID was a huge pivotal point where people got the opportunity to be at home and figure out what it's like to be at home and say, wow, this is a lot more interesting for me than any of the other stuff.
But in reality, though, it's a truth, because it's like, okay, well, here's what I do in an 8-hour day. And it's like, okay, well, in reality, I'm only actually, and this is just me, I'm only really doing 4 hours of work a day. And I'm doing 4 hours of makeshift work.
Yeah.
Now I could go and do other things at the same time.
True. And for some people, we know some people as well who they're able to get their work done really quickly, and then they're able to do other stuff during the day.
Yeah.
It's stuff that they wouldn't be able to do if they were at work for the whole regular period of time.
Yes.
The 9 to 5, right?
It's true. And that was one of the biggest things that a lot of people were concerned about, is their mental health. And especially with COVID, it had some drawbacks. A lot of people dealing with depression, a lot of people with anxiety, being cooped up at home. That's a reality. But on the same side, this made people realize about burnout and being overworked and just about everything. I saw another stat saying that some people, something like 38% of people, I think it was in this Paying With Our Health study, 38% of people were, their workload actually increased during the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah, and that's not being talked about at all.
You're right. That isn't being talked about. That's really weird.
But it also shows the narrative that that people like to go and see. But that's a whole other topic. the last thing I got to go and say about the silent resignation is just common side effects. I sound like a doctor here, but common side effects. If you think about what exactly you're feeling, like if you're feeling you're burning out, you're starting to refuse new projects, or like someone who is doing quitting would typically refuse new projects, refuse more work, would maybe say, you know what, I'm not answering emails after 5 p.m. I don't answer emails or phone calls on the weekends or anything like that. I don't do any work outside hours, and if I do, it's going to be banked or it's going to be paid out, depending on how the job itself works or how the contract works.
Yeah.
And they're working by the rule book.
And they're going to refer to their contract a lot more to make sure that they're abiding by it.
Yes. Oh, my Lord, yes.
But you're right. I guess the refusal of a new project, that one's a little bit fascinating to me. Like
it's
going about that in a diplomatic way, and that's challenging. That's challenging for sure.
We're going to be talking about, if this is like our last segment, we're going to be talking about if this is fit for you, because it's not fit for everyone.
Yeah.
But we will be talking about our second segment, and that's the risks of quiet quitting.
Yeah.
And trust me, there are quite a few more risks than there are benefits. I'm just going to say that. But there are the benefits are also very strong compared to the risks are strong as well, but there's also very strong benefits to it.
Sure. You need some sort of sophistication to pull this off.
Yes.
Yes. It's not just unplug and
no.
You got to word things properly. You got to find out how and you got to cover your ground, and you got to do your job. You can't run away from your job.
No, you can't. You can't just have a free paycheck coming in with no work involved.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we have to say about the risks is you're risking your reputation. That's the biggest one. You're risking your reputation at the company by refusing work.
Right.
How do you think your bosses are going to see you if you go and say no? Now, of course, you're probably going to word it differently.
Yeah.
But if you're refusing work and you're trying to pass it along to someone else, that may not look too hot for you.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. How are you going to refuse? Are you saying no? Or are you saying actually by my contract I'm following exactly what I need to do? Would this be an additional thing? And there's an argument to be made of saying, oh, okay, well, my understanding was that this here was part of my compensation. Should we be discussing a review? There is an argument to say that, and to be properly compensated if you're taking on a lot more work.
For sure.
But if it's simpler things, sometimes you just got to watch out how to word it.
Exactly. And you're walking on thin ice by refusing work.
Yeah.
Especially with your boss in that case.
No doubt. Next time a promotion comes around, that an empty spot, beside them, are you going to be the person to recommend?
Well, it actually brings us to our second point here. And it was talking about your financials.
Oh,
your financial growth will more than likely either slow down or decline. And the reason why I say decline, I don't mean about losing your job, but whether it be like bonuses.
True.
If bonuses are involved, it can get stingy. They go and say, you know what, it didn't really work out too well, and you did meet your benchmarks, but you didn't really reach the massive goals we were looking for, so you're not going to get the bonus that we were looking for. You're going to make a little less this year.
Yeah. No, that is a big risk. And I'd like to say that can be mitigated by laying out exactly what your goals are, ahead of time. And if you're still able to attain those goals, hey,
great.
Potentially there's a way that you can quiet quit and still achieve those goals and get a bonus,
Yeah. I literally saw some Reddit posts on things that people would rather not say in public or else they get screwed over.
Yeah.
I remember this IT guy saying, it was an IT guy or a a guy who was proficient in Excel or something like that, and his job was to do data entry. And he says it was a 6-figure job. It was a long, tedious process, but he said I literally automated the whole thing. And he says it was perfect. It was perfect. Like I perfected the whole thing. And no word of a lie, I finished. He says I spent maybe 2 weeks building this thing, just researching how to build it.
Yeah.
And people didn't believe that it was accurate, that it was 100% accurate.
Really?
So he says, so what I would, because everyone would do mistakes because there's manual entry before.
Right.
And
okay.
he automated it. And because of that, he went up to the point where he created the thing and he purposely make mistakes. He'd go and make purposeful mistakes throughout the entirety of the document. Think like thousands of names.
Yeah.
And it'd be like 98% accuracy. So, okay. And he says it would literally take me about 2 hours a week to do.
My goodness.
And I couldn't. He says
2 hours a week is crazy.
And he said if my boss would figure that out, they would literally give me double the work, or they would throw me out completely.
Well, and they would own the program that he worked
Yes.
he worked on. They would get the program. They would get the program, and they'd be entitled to it because it was done under their time employed for the work itself, for the job. So. And
I laughed. So he says, so now I keep bringing the money, and I with little to no effort. So I guess in a way he was intelligently quiet quitting.
Yeah. Well, is it even quitting? Because
I don't even think it's quitting. It's just he found a workaround. He used the tools that were available to him and bypassed the whole thing.
The way that I see it is it's an advantage for the guy who created the program. It's an advantage for the company. Now, if the company had, if you're a properly functioning company and you could possibly automate it, you should search to automate it that yourself and save yourself all that money. Or better yet, hire this guy for $250,000 and tell him to create that. Pay him for 3 months, and just get it over with.
Good to go. And the last component that we have here that I thought that was really important was actually it's not really the last thing, but relationships is a huge thing. If you're walking on thin ice constantly with your boss, and you're refusing work and you're just doing the bare minimum, then your relationships are going to dwindle with your boss, with your coworkers, or anyone in general, because they know that you're doing the bare minimum.
True. And you're working 8 hours a day. So 8 hours of your day is dedicated to work. Are you sure that you want those relationships to become sour? Because we're talking about mental health.
Yep.
You have to get along. Well, it's best practice to get along with these people that you're working with, because it's sometimes you see them more than you see your own family.
Yes, it's definitely true.
Yeah.
And our last point to this segment that I forgot to add is the risk that you're taking for your job itself. So we're talking about reputation in the company, but if there is an economical downturn of some kind, or there's a restructuring with the company, and you don't have good relationships with your bosses, and they know that you're doing the bare minimum with your job, they may just tell you, unfortunately, we're laying you off. You're risking your job doing so.
It's true. We've seen different performance rating. You can meet expectations, but still have all your coworkers around you.
Yes.
They go above the expectations, and if that's the case, they'll look at your performance review and you're first written off. We saw Facebook do this as a, I don't know, would you call this a quiet firing or something like that? They raised the expectation and they said, you guys got to meet this. Whoever doesn't meet it, you're gone.
Yeah. It's dirty.
It can be done to you, and it's legal, same way as quiet quitting is legal.
Mm-hmm. Our third segment is going to be talking about the benefits, though. So we're talking about the bad sides of it. There's good sides to quiet quitting as well.
Yeah.
The first thing is the most obvious one. Your workload and stress will be greatly reduced.
Yes.
Your priority is to have a good work-life balance.
Yeah.
And if you have no work-life balance and you live to work, then this may be something that could benefit you. And if you don't know how to do, if you live to work.
Okay, gotcha. If you live to work and you think you shouldn't, then this may be good for you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
No, it is a great way of setting boundaries, honestly.
Exactly. A lot of people say and it also increases your happiness. If you have better work-life balance and you're able to do what you want on your own time, like working 9 to 5 and any time after like 5 to 10 p.m. or any time between 6 and 9 p.m. a.m., you're able to do what you want. That is good. You get to work on your hobbies. You get to work on pastimes. It's huge.
No,
And
you're right.
A lot of people got to realize, figure that out during COVID-19.
Just on the time saved from commutes, people have been, grateful, extremely grateful for that, reclaiming that time,
Mm-hmm.
So if you can reclaim an extra hour on top of that of work that you're not doing, yeah, it's for sure a benefit.
Bit of a funny story I have to say about during COVID-19 when it first started.
Yeah.
When everything shut down in Ontario for the first lockdown in March of 2020,
yeah,
it was really funny because I was so alienated from that. Like I worked at an office in a suit and tie.
Yeah.
And at a bank of all places, and at that time, and I had no clue what to do, so I decided to keep my routine going.
Okay.
So I still wore my suit and tie every morning.
Very admirable.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
However, I realized that my team, we were a team of like 3-4, so the entire bank was like 3 or 4 of us.
Yeah.
And we didn't even use cameras or anything of that kind.
Okay.
So after like a week of doing that, I'm there and I'm like, why am I wearing a suit and tie?
You figured maybe I'll take the tie off today. Another day goes on. Maybe I don't need this jacket either.
Well, what was worse is I remember we'd have monthly meetings.
Yeah.
We'd have monthly meetings for investments. Like what investment? On? Yes. Okay, but I completely forgot about it, and I just got out of the shower. Oh, crap. And so I threw my shirt and tie on. Yeah. I did my hair, but I was still in my PJ pants.
Well, I remember seeing this. This was a CNN guy, Brian Stelter, and he posted a video of himself. He's like, I only had 2 minutes to get ready for this. Then he's like, he put on his shirt, tie, and jacket. And then you saw he was in boxers, and he took, I don't know how, I guess he got someone to take a picture of him, but he's there just like, that's the new reality. I'm like, you know what? It is kind of true, but I don't know to that level.
I think a lot of us did it, unfortunately. I didn't do it too much there, but I did have quite a few meetings where I did not have my dress pants on.
Yeah.
Especially during the summer.
Yeah, true, during summer, eh? And no one sees it anyway. Like, you play along at first, you're like, what is this, man? It is a waste of time. But I think a lot of people paved the way, like Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, of, hey, you can wear, and Elon Musk too, you can wear just plain casual clothes and be professional, Yes. It's the person's character says a lot more than what they are wearing. Yeah. Although first impressions still matter. Let's not forget that.
That's a good point. Actually, it brings us to our third point to this segment, and it's employers. This is an opportunity for employers, like with a benefit to this quiet quitting. It's an opportunity for employers to reshape the workforce itself, make it more engaging, because gone are the days where it's like, okay, you know what? I just want you to do the job. I just want you to be a cog in a wheel and get out.
Right.
Are you producing? No, get out. Are you producing? Yes. Okay, you got a job. Well,
True.
now the employee is there, and it's like, well, I'm not happy. And it's like, okay, well, now, well, then get out. And it's like, all right, well, I'm not happy. Now now they're producing 20% less, 25, 30%, 40%, 50% less.
Yeah.
Why are my employees not staying? Well, because you're just treating them like a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, they're being milked like a cow, and no one likes that, you know.
Yes, and this is their opportunity to go and reshape how they do things. I'm seeing it more and more on job postings of those lines. Hey, we actually have benefits, or hey, we have sick leave. Well, not sick leave, but we have stress leave, which is becoming more common nowadays.
Yeah.
We have just floaters, so you don't even have to have a reason to you don't need to have a reason. We'll give you the day off with no reasoning at all.
Yeah.
Or we have an engaging community. We have an engaging workforce, and we make sure that everyone is involved. And it's like, you know what? That's great.
That's how Google and Facebook got lots of their people. And I think even Deloitte, which we were quoting,
Yes.
they
yes.
have very, very... They aim to have extremely engaging work and engaging company,
For sure.
environments, meetings, things like that. And it attracts a lot of people. Now,
There's a reason why they're top 100 employer in Canada.
Right, exactly. Now, in harder economic times like this, can you upkeep that all the time? Maybe not. You know, we saw Facebook, for example, make those cuts, right?
Yes.
But you're right. It is it's a playground of opportunity for employers.
And actually, the last thing, we're talking about happiness with employees and productivity. Stats from Oxford University have said that happy employees tend to produce 13% more. They're 13% more productive when they're happy.
Oh, wow. Well,
That's 13, a lot.
13 doesn't seem like much, but it makes the total difference. And if they were able to truly attribute that to happiness, then wonderful.
Imagine if you weren't happy. Like the comparison from neutral to happy, or someone who's actually just downright not happy at all. Imagine how productive they are.
Probably not that much.
The interesting thing about quiet quitting is it's not something new. It's just something that TikTok, because it really started off with TikTok.
Very trendy.
And people who have done it, there's been around 69% of people who have openly admitted, from people born from 1990 and up, admitted to doing quiet quitting.
That doesn't surprise me. It's not everyone who always wants to go up higher and higher and higher. Some people are perfectly content with what they have. And there's something good to be said about that, about being grateful and content with what you have.
It's true. And just living off of it. And this is according to Gallup here. Mm-hmm. But the interesting component of this is that it's not meant for everyone. Even though the 69% of people have admitted to doing it, it's not meant for everyone.
True.
And the biggest thing I got to go and say is, if you are non-confrontational and you don't deal with that kind of stuff too well, I would not suggest quiet quitting. I would just suggest to either do your job or quit, move on to a different job that has a more relaxed environment. Yeah.
Jinx. No, you're right. And if you're not confrontational, you may want to consider practicing being more confrontational. I have the perfect example. Imagine you're going to ask money back from your friend. Try saying, how exactly would you go about that?
Yep. It's true. If you're afraid of confrontation, it's an awesome way of doing it.
Practice.
In this case, a lot of people also need to establish boundaries. That's a huge thing to do.
Yeah.
If you want to go and do soft quitting, quiet quitting, soft quitting, anything like that, you need to establish, okay, what is your goal here? Are you planning on just making your own time for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not putting any more time after work. So once 5 p.m. comes or 5:30, whatever, shut the computer down. I'll be honest, my Teams is like Microsoft Teams is connected to my phone.
Okay.
But I finish at 4:30. I finish at 4:30, but I keep my phone on connected to it until 5:30.
Okay, I see.
And so if there's a message that comes in, whatever, I have no issues answering it.
Oh, if there's a
But
rush
if someone
or...
sends me a if someone sends me a message at 8 p.m., I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
Someone sends me an email at 10 p.m. on Saturday, I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to pay the price for someone else who wants to be a superhero.
Yeah, that's a great point. Personally, if I get messages at night and I happen to be checking in for my own reason, then it's like, okay,
yes,
fine. I don't mind responding. Sometimes I'll even do it myself where I'm like, okay, you know what, I really want to get this done for this timeline, and I'll volunteer some of my time, and that is,
for sure.
I don't see that as, maybe it is seen as going above and beyond, but some days you just aren't as productive as you'd like to.
You could gauge the importance of the email or the message of some kind as well.
And I think that for those who do practice quiet quitting or want to, there's nothing wrong with also saying yes every now and then. If it's an exception and your boss is asking you and is saying, look, I know that we have boundaries set and I try to respect that. However, this is real important. Would you mind, staying late for this? And maybe they won't offer you immediate compensation. But if you think that you are ready for it, you say, sure, you know what, as an exception, I don't mind doing that. And you can still set boundaries by saying, I'm doing this as an exception.
Yes.
I'm fortunate not to have a job that requires me to do after work stuff continuously.
Same here.
But if my boss were to ask me and say, hey, you know what, I need something pronto, could you help me out, please? To me, the answer is yes, unless if I have something very important planned,
Yes. And actually that was one of the perfect cases. I know that my boss was just showing exactly that. I had messages earlier on today there. We're recording in the evening now. And when I was taking show notes, it was a little bit later, but I was waiting for some information to come in. My boss messaged me saying, hey, has that person reached out to you about it? I said, no, they haven't actually. Yeah. And even though I know it's past 4:30, but she messaged me back saying, hey, like, if you want, I could upload the information for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. I'll do it. It's fine. Thank you for the offer, but I'm perfectly fine. And that is someone, that's a boss who respects your boundaries.
Yeah. And you're more willing to volunteer, I imagine, for that exact reason, right?
Yes. You're not being told to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, go for it.
No, please.
I was going to say my last point to the last segment, and it's to establish your boundaries as early as you can.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a surprise.
Yes. And if you go and make yourself available all the time, 24/7, people are going to reach out to you 24/7. Yeah. They're going to make... because they know you're available and you're making yourself available. And you'll get people who will sometimes even take advantage of you because you're always available.
And if you have resentment for people reaching out, you have to express it. Otherwise, that resentment's just going to keep building and building. And it can go to a nasty place really quick.
It's hard to go backwards than it is to go forwards.
Yeah.
With those boundaries.
Exactly. It's easier to build from a clean slate than where there's already a bumpy road.
Exactly. And so if you're starting a new job, set those boundaries. But if you're in an established job and you're just you're like, you know what? Screw it. I'm putting in 60 hours a week. I'm cutting it down to 40 hours, strict 40 hours. That's going to be a huge adjustment. And some people are not going to be happy about that.
And you can gauge how your employer is, and gauge how you think their reaction will be. And this can be easily be a conversation that you can have.
Yes.
If you are doing 60 a week and you want to start cutting it down, you say, look, I've been doing 60 a week just to break even, I need to cut this down. And maybe do we maybe hire someone? I don't want to work more hours, so no raise can fix this. If that's the case, maybe that is the case. Do we hire someone? Do we hire someone temporary? Can I get someone working for me? There are different ways that you can exploit that opportunity for yourself too. Maybe you can have a direct report now.
And if you're that unhappy at your job, and it's really quit, move to a different position, and then set those boundaries.
Sure, yeah, that's a great option. You're still loyal to the company that you're at. It'll still look great on your resume.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So with that being...
Well, I got to know, Owen. I have to know. What are your thoughts on quiet quitting?
I fall on both sides. I'm a strong preacher of work-life balance.
Yeah.
I'm not strict, like, okay, 4:30 done, gone. I start my job at 7:30, but I can't do that kind of stuff where I'm there and it's like, but I can't. You're not going to see me working until 9 p.m. ever.
Sure.
You're not going to see me working on weekends, and you're not going to see me bend over back for a company.
Sure. Makes sense.
But I will bend. I will. So the quiet quitting, like I said, I would say do it at the start. Don't cut back on your hours or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just maintain. And if you're really unhappy, then quit. Like, it's hard to take. Don't give and take back.
Yeah, true. By setting expectations, under promise, over deliver. That's sort of idea, right?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm.
What about yourself? Will?
I think I'm on a very similar page as you. My only concern with quiet quitting is when it's never no and there's a hard line. I think that's wrong, and it'll only impact you negatively. Because if I had bad relations with my boss or anything like that, or my coworkers, that would weigh on me a lot more than working that extra
it would look
15,
really bad.
30 minutes, like it's usually only 15 to 30 minutes a day. If you're going to cut down your hours, just be strict on the line, well, your 8 hours of work a day better be bloody productive. Because I know that some people can get their work done a lot sooner and don't have that productivity for the rest of the day. Okay, if you're going to do hard lines like that, well, you better be working for those 8 hours. And if you're not, because I understand both sides. It could be unfair to the employer, like it could be unfair to the employee.
For sure. So with that being said, my name is Owen Paradis. I'm here with my co-host, William Goulet, and we're proud to present to you the College of Wealth podcast. Peace.
2 fingers, peace.
This has been your daily dose of motivation with the College of Wealth podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening, and until next episode.